Good morning. My name is Carol Rosin. In 1974, after being a 6th grade school teacher, I was introduced to the late Dr. Wernher von Braun in the U.S., the father of rocketry. In my first meeting with him, during that first 3.5 hours, he said to me, "Carol, you will stop the weaponization of space." And I said, you know, teachers don't stop until June. He said, "No, you have to understand. This is February. And we have to prevent the weaponization of space because there is a lie being told to everyone that the weaponization of space is now first being based upon the evil empire, the Russians. There are many enemies," he said, "against whom we're going to build this space-based weapon system. The first of whom was the Russians, which was existing at that time. Then there would be terrorists. Then there would be third world countries. Now we call them rogue nations or nations of concern. Then there would be asteroids." And then he would repeat to me over and over, "And the last card, the last card, the last card would be the extraterrestrial threat." Well, at the time, I kind of laughed when he said asteroids, and when he said extraterrestrials, I knew I wasn't going to deal with that subject. And now we hear on the news just today, this week, that they've slid in another enemy. Only this time we're going to protect our satellites. In other words, we have to have some reason to spend these trillions, to waste these dollars on a space-based weapon system, and they're all lies. This is a system, he told me, that would never protect anyone. Even back then, he talked about suitcase bombs. He talked about chemical, viral, bacterial, biological warfare, that these space-based weapons would never protect us against. And then he told me that, in fact, if you travel around the world, which I did after he died in 1977, I met with people in over 100 countries who were friends. They didn't want to build space-based weapons. I became a space and missile defense consultant. And I worked with people around the world. I became an advisor to the People's Republic of China. They don't want to build a space-based weapon system. And he told me back then that they didn't. He said, "Go to Russia. They're considered to be the enemy." I got on a plane by myself. When I got to Russia, I had a list of people that I had read out of the newspaper. Chernenko was in office then. He was the only one I didn't get a chance to meet. They introduced me to everyone when I got there. And when I got back, I said, "Oh my Lord, this man is telling the truth. There is no threat. And I've been waiting until this day for 27 years, and I'm expecting the spin to happen," because he also explained to me that as a military strategist, as a person who worked on the MX missile, which I did later, he said, "You will find that there is going to be a spin to find some enemy against whom we have to build space-based weapons. And now we should expect the spin," because he said part of the formula for the intelligence community is if they might have a weapon, then we have to consider that they do have these weapons. So now they do have these weapons, so now we have to build these weapon systems. And that's the formula, except that it's all based on a lie.
Now, an alien invasion, could it really happen? The US military is making plans just in case.
What are the official plans for contact with extraterrestrials? Will they come in peace or war? And what can humanity do in the face of alien invasion?
Yes, it is best to be prepared for anything, and Professor Paul Springer from the US Air Command and Staff College would advise the military in the event of an invasion. Now, he had to get special government clearance to talk to us, and I spoke to him earlier. Paul, it's an incredibly difficult thing, isn't it, to plan to fight back against an enemy we would know absolutely nothing about?
Well, that's absolutely true, but at the same time, we make all kinds of contingency and war plans against enemies that we never expected to face in combat. And so the idea that maybe the enemy will have something technological or doctrinal that we've never foreseen is something that we try to plan for any way that we can.
Well, obviously, if we did get invaded, these aliens would be much more technologically advanced than we are because we didn't even know they were there. How would you go about fighting an enemy that was just so infinitely superior in technology?
Well, the first thing you'd want to try to do is preserve your forces as best you could. You would want to learn as much about the enemy as possible, and that would mean things like trying to find vulnerabilities, trying to capture
Is this something, this kind of planning, that governments around the world do consider?
It is, in the same way that governments do plan for any future potential calamities or conflicts. This is the type of thing that, because it's neutral, you're not provoking a fight or assuming a fight with a country that you might want to maintain a good diplomatic relationship with. If you insert alien in place of some human civilization that you might come into conflict with, then you're far less likely to create any kind of a diplomatic problem.
Wouldn't it be a strange situation if humanity had to band together if we were fighting alongside, I guess, Russia or the Taliban? If humanity had to band together if we were fighting alongside, I guess, Russia or the Taliban? Wouldn't it be a strange situation if humanity had to band together if we were fighting alongside, I guess, Russia or the Taliban?
It would, but keep in mind that many of the greatest civilizations in human history have been formed basically to counter a common enemy. And you look at some of the great world powers of the globe today, and you find a lot of them formed because of the fear of a common enemy. Take, for example, the United States, where you had 13 colonies, each of which pursued its own interests and its own goals until they had to band together to try to win their independence collectively from the British.
You make some very good points, and we're lucky to have you.
Infrastructure spending, if it were well spent, that's great. I'm all for that. I'd borrow for that, assuming we're not paying.
I don't understand. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Global Government News. Today is Monday, April 9th, 2012, and I'm Darko. This is my website, ggnonline.com. Also on YouTube, it's ddarko2012 and ddarko2013. All the headlines and links will be posted in YouTube's video description. I posted a poll up here just last week, so you can vote if you would like. It says, will people alter their cell phone activity after the, quote, revelation that service providers are helping governments track its customers? So far, majority, 55%, are saying no, they won't change their activity, followed by a tie saying yes and maybe. So, ready to get moving here. As soon as I saw this video about the U.S. plans for alien invasion, I thought I'd throw in another video along with this. I tried playing this video, but it wouldn't play. It just would not play for me. So, as far as recording goes, so I'll just read the quick headline and move on. Fake alien invasion would end economic slump. So, you notice at the end of that video there, they were saying, unite us. I mean, that is spooky, because I've mentioned that a couple times before about this, stage alien invasion, and about how it's going to be used to unite the whole planet to bring in this, to finalize this world government, this world governing system, and they'd use asteroids or the threat of aliens to build up space weapons and whatnot. After that will come in the new world religion and everything else, the plans. Who knows? They may actually reveal the true creation, the story of creation, and it could get kind of crazy. I'm not saying that I am 100% on board as far as believing this stuff, but you need to take it into consideration, because things are going to get crazier and crazier, I think. And if you at least let go of your ego and say, well, I don't know, I don't have all the truth, because I'll tell you one thing right now, I don't have all the truth, I don't have all the answers, I'm learning every single day. So it says Paul Krugman is so frustrated by the lack of support for another round of stimulus spending that he's now calling for a fake alien invasion of the United States to spur a World War II style defense buildup. And this was from 8/15/2011. This article is from January 22nd, 2012. International plan to protect Earth from comets and asteroids could mean billions for contractors. It says major European space contractors and space agencies recently began work on the NEO Shield. It says here a 3.5-year program to study how best to protect the Earth from a devastating collision with the asteroid or a near-Earth object. So it says the largest contractor currently participating in NEO Shield is EADS Astrium, a corporate giant with 2009 revenues of 4.8 billion. I think that's euros. 15,000 employees in France, Germany, UK, Spain, Netherlands, and others include Spanish satellite company, along with the Germans, French, and Russian space agencies. So they said that basically they're going to try to use tractor beams by moving this incoming asteroid, whatever it is. Obama's new Pentagon strategy strips benefits and buys more weapons. This is from January 2012. And it basically goes in and explains what I've covered so many times about how they're making the troops, as far as hardcore ground troops, they're scaling that back, thinning that down, and putting it more into robotics, machines, drones, and special forces. It says instead the U.S. will rely more heavily on agile, dispersed arsenal of troops, i.e. special forces, and increased surveillance, space-age weaponry presence. It says Obama was quoted saying, "Yes, the tide of war is receding. What kind of military will we need long after the wars of the last decade?" So the wars aren't over. It's just basically the planet has been conquered by this global elite. So, there's no more enemies. Well, they're going to have to make up enemies, such as aliens in space, to unite us, right? So it goes on here, and it basically says, as we reduce the overall defense budget, we will protect and in some cases increase our investments in special operation forces and new technologies like unmanned systems and space, and in particular in cyberspace, says Leon Panetta. But it's not really Obama. They say Obama's new Pentagon plan. I mean, this is going on prior to him. Bush sets defense as space priority. This is from October 2006. President Bush has signed a new national space policy that rejects future arms control agreements that might limit U.S. flexibility in space and assert a right to deny access to space to anyone hostile to U.S. interests. It says here the document, the first full revision of overall space policy in 10 years, emphasizes security issues, encourages private investment in space, and characterizes the role of U.S. space diplomacy largely in terms of persuading other nations to support U.S. policy. Again, and this wasn't Bush. These guys are all working for the same people. So look at the Clinton policy opened the door to developing space weapons. So it goes on and on. Okay, then we have this article, scientists closing in on black hole at center of Milky Way. It says imaging could shed light on conflict between theories of general relativity and quantum mechanics. It says here, the means at the center of the Milky Way, sometimes packing about 4 million times the mass of the Sun, is sitting within an area that could fit inside the orbit of Mercury and is basically invisible, producing much less light than the other of the stars orbiting it. Then we have this, hyperspeed planets are hurtling out of the Milky Way. It says runaway worlds may move at up to 30 million miles per hour, study predicts. And it says, if you think life on Earth moves too fast, imagine being perched on a planet that's hurtling through space 400 times faster than our home world. It says, according to a new study, astronomers predict that the hypervelocity planets are streaking through our Milky Way galaxy at up to 30 million miles an hour. It says here, flung from the center of our galaxy by so-called gravitational slingshots. So then we have this one, black holes may get supermassive by eating stars. It says the supermassive black holes thought to lurk at the heart of most galaxies attain their enormous sizes by eating stars, a new study suggests. That was from April 6, 2012, and these are all articles I've been kind of saving. I'd like to thank Spaceman for contributing to some of them. Some of these newer ones kind of just coming out, really. I just thought I'd cover it real quick. New theory on size of black holes. Gas-guzzling black holes eat 2 courses at a time. So astronomers put forth a new theory about why black holes become so huge. Says they claim some of them have no table manners and tip their food directly into their mouths, eating more than 1 course simultaneously. So it says researchers found that basically black holes grow so fast that they are billions of times heavier than the sun.
Much of the sea life would die because they can't live in murky waters. As we pass through the galactic plane, supposing the event was caused, the pole shift was caused by the external influence of the galactic plane. As we pass through it, there is a lot of debris that is sitting on the galactic plane, on that gravitational field that does not move cyclically up and down. It has lost its kinetic energy. It's just sitting there. We're talking massive asteroids, planet-sized asteroids, in fact, in some cases, and they're just sitting there. And our solar system is racing toward that plane. In fact, if you look at the computer-simulated models of our galaxy, and the Hubble telescope looks at other galaxies, you can see this dark line, where we call this line the edge of the galaxy, and the Mayans call it the dark rift. And it's dark because the light from the stars can't get through it because it has a lot of debris sitting there. So as the solar system moves through this debris, the asteroids in the debris will be plunging through our solar system, hitting the Earth. So we would expect to be hit by a number of asteroids, large asteroids and small asteroids.
And so I'll leave you with this. Rock of the Ages, killer asteroid likely to pass in 2013, March 3rd, 2012. Says a rock will soar past the Earth at 24,000 kilometers per second and will fly even lower than the altitude of many man-made satellites. This is GGN. Thank you.